You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Cloud backup and recovery practices are foundational to resilience because they ensure that organizations can restore availability and data integrity after faults, errors, or malicious activity. The purpose of these practices is not simply to make extra copies of data, but to create governed processes that guarantee recoverability under real-world conditions. Backups provide insurance against corruption, deletion, and compromise, while recovery strategies focus on re-establishing full services, often under tight business continuity timelines. In distributed cloud environments, these tasks require careful coordination across zones, regions, and services to avoid single points of failure. For learners, mastering backup and recovery means understanding that data protection is as much about planning and verification as it is about technology. Without disciplined approaches, organizations risk discovering too late that their backups are incomplete, inconsistent, or unusable when disaster strikes. A backup is an independent copy of data designed specifically for restoration. Its purpose is to serve as a trusted reference point when primary data becomes corrupted, deleted, or compromised. Unlike replication, which often mirrors data changes instantly, backups preserve historical versions that can be rolled back when errors propagate. For example, a mistakenly deleted dataset can be restored from a backup, even if the deletion was already replicated across storage. Backups thus provide not only continuity but also historical resilience, enabling organizations to recover from human error, malware, and misconfigurations. They are the safety net of information systems, ensuring that data is not permanently lost even when prevention measures fail. Disaster recovery, or DR, expands the concept of backup into full systems restoration. Whereas backups address individual datasets, DR coordinates the recovery of infrastructure, applications, and dependencies needed to resume business services after major disruptions. For example, DR plans address how to restore an entire e-commerce platform if a regional data center fails. DR is a systems-level approach, acknowledging that applications rarely operate in isolation. It aligns technology with organizational objectives, ensuring that service restoration is both comprehensive and prioritized. While backups supply the raw material of recovery, DR provides the orchestration needed to bring systems back online coherently and predictably. Recovery Point Objective, or RPO, defines the maximum acceptable window of data loss measured backward from the time of failure. It quantifies how much information an organization is willing to lose in a worst-case scenario. For example, an RPO of 15 minutes means that backup or replication systems must ensure no more than 15 minutes of data is lost. Achieving low RPOs requires more frequent backups or synchronous replication. Higher RPOs may suffice for less critical systems, where occasional data loss is tolerable. RPO thus guides backup schedules and replication strategies, aligning technical processes with business tolerance for loss. Recovery Time Objective, or RTO, complements RPO by defining how quickly systems must be restored after an outage. RTO is about speed of recovery, ensuring that services return within agreed timelines. For instance, an RTO of 4 hours requires infrastructure, automation, and personnel readiness to re-establish functionality within that window. Different applications may have different RTOs depending on business impact. Balancing RPO and RTO allows organizations to design recovery systems proportionate to their criticality, ensuring that neither excessive downtime nor unnecessary cost undermines resilience. Together, RPO and RTO transform abstract continuity goals into actionable technical targets. Snapshots provide one of the fastest mechanisms for local recovery by capturing point-in-time images of volumes, databases, or storage objects. They allow administrators to roll back to a known state within minutes, offering near-instant recovery for localized corruption or deletion. For example, A database snapshot taken hourly can restore data to the moment before a faulty migration script was executed. While snapshots are efficient and space-conscious, they are typically stored close to the primary system, making them vulnerable to shared failures. They are most effective as the first line of recovery, offering speed, but must be complemented by backups stored in separate zones or regions to ensure true resilience. Application-consistent backups go beyond crash-consistent snapshots by quiescing transactions and flushing buffers to disk before capture. This ensures that restored data is in a recoverable state, avoiding corruption caused by interrupted writes. For example, pausing database activity briefly ensures that logs and memory states are committed, producing a clean backup. Without application consistency, some backups may restore successfully but produce errors when applications attempt to replay transactions. This technique is vital for complex systems, such as databases, ERP platforms, or financial ledgers, where logical integrity is as important as raw data recovery. Application-consistent methods ensure that backups represent coherent states rather than fractured points in time. Replication provides continuous data protection by copying changes to secondary locations. Synchronous replication ensures near-zero RPO by writing data simultaneously to primary and secondary systems. However, it adds latency and is typically limited to short geographic distances. Asynchronous replication, by contrast, allows longer-distance copies with reduced performance impact, but accepts some data loss if failures occur before synchronization. For example, a cross-continent replication strategy may operate asynchronously, offering geographic resilience with a small RPO trade-off. Replication is not a substitute for backups but a complement, enabling faster failover while backups provide historical and immutable protection. Cross-zone and cross-region replication extend resilience against localized and regional failures. A single availability zone may experience disruptions due to power loss, hardware faults, or natural disasters. Replicating data across zones ensures continuity within a region, while cross-region replication guards against larger-scale outages. For example, a storage bucket in one region may asynchronously replicate to another region to support DR plans. This geographic distribution strengthens reliability, but also raises governance questions about data residency and compliance. Balancing resilience and regulatory obligations is therefore central to replication strategy, ensuring that availability does not come at the expense of compliance. Immutability and write-once-read. Many protections ensure that backups cannot be altered or deleted during their retention windows. These features defend against ransomware and insider threats, which might otherwise encrypt or erase backups to block recovery. Immutable storage locks data in its original form until policies expire. For example, a financial institution may configure backups of transaction records with 7-year warm retention to meet compliance requirements. By ensuring data remains pristine, immutability transforms backups into trustworthy archives, safeguarding both security and regulatory needs. Encryption protects the confidentiality of backups at rest and in transit. Strong cryptography ensures that even if backup media is intercepted or stolen, its contents remain inaccessible without keys. Governance of key custody becomes essential, as encryption is only as strong as its management. Cloud providers often offer integrated key management services, but organizations may also require hardware security modules for compliance. For example, customer data backups may be encrypted with customer-managed keys, rotated periodically to ensure ongoing security. Encryption demonstrates that resilience is not just about recoverability, but also about preserving trust and privacy. Backup catalogs organize metadata about versions, locations, and retention policies, making retrieval efficient and traceable. Catalogs act as the index for backup libraries, enabling administrators to quickly locate and restore the correct copy. For example, when restoring a legal archive, The catalog shows which backups contain the required records and how long they are retained. Without catalogs, backups risk becoming disorganized vaults, where locating the right data becomes as difficult as recreating it. Catalogs provide both operational efficiency and compliance evidence, ensuring that data remains accessible when needed most. Policy tiers formalize backup frequency and retention based on data classification. Critical systems may require hourly backups retained for years, while test environments may use daily copies with short retention. Policies also reflect legal and regulatory obligations, ensuring compliance with frameworks such as HIPAA or GDPR. For example, healthcare records may be retained for decades, while ephemeral development data may be discarded after days. Tiered policies balance cost and necessity, ensuring that resources are spent where risk and value are highest. They demonstrate that backup strategy must be guided by business priorities, not just technical convenience. Deduplication and compression optimize the storage and transfer of backups, reducing cost without sacrificing integrity. Deduplication removes duplicate blocks across backups, while compression reduces the footprint of individual copies. For example, daily backups of unchanged operating system files may be deduplicated to save space, while application data is compressed for efficient transfer. These optimizations enable organizations to sustain frequent backups without overwhelming budgets or bandwidth. They demonstrate how technical efficiency supports resilience, making robust backup practices economically viable. Service dependency mapping ensures that backups and recoveries account for upstream and downstream components. For example, restoring a database without its associated application servers may achieve data recovery but not service functionality. Mapping identifies which components must be recovered together for coherent service restoration. It also highlights priority dependencies, such as authentication systems, that underpin multiple applications. By including dependencies, recovery becomes holistic, ensuring that systems resume operation as interconnected services rather than isolated silos. Change control governs how backup policies are updated and how restores are tested. Documented approvals ensure that modifications are deliberate, reviewed, and traceable. For example, changing a retention period from 3 months to 1 year may require legal approval to ensure compliance. Similarly, test restores are documented to confirm objectives are met and lessons are captured. Change control ensures that backup and recovery systems remain aligned with business needs while minimizing the risk of accidental gaps. It elevates backup from a technical operation to a governed process integrated into enterprise risk management. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Disaster recovery patterns define how organizations prepare for and respond to large-scale failures. A pilot-light pattern keeps minimal core services running in a secondary region, ready to scale rapidly during a failover. Warm standby maintains a partially scaled copy of production, allowing faster recovery but at greater cost. Active-active deployments run services simultaneously across regions, ensuring minimal downtime but requiring complex coordination. Each pattern balances cost, complexity, and recovery objectives. For example, a financial service may justify active-active replication for zero downtime, while a smaller business might opt for warm standby. These patterns provide flexible options that align technical design with business continuity goals. Runbooks document the detailed steps for restoration, from spinning up backup environments to validating services and data. They include decision points, such as whether to fail over or attempt in-place recovery and validation checks like confirming authentication systems before reopening access. Runbooks may be automated where possible, reducing reliance on human memory during crises. For example, a runbook might script the restoration of a database cluster, followed by manual steps for application validation. By codifying these procedures, organizations reduce uncertainty and ensure consistent, repeatable recovery. Runbooks transform backup and recovery from ad hoc improvisation into a disciplined operational practice. Restore testing ensures that backup and recovery strategies are not theoretical but proven under realistic conditions. Scheduled drills validate recovery time and recovery point objectives, confirming whether objectives can actually be met. Sampled recoveries test subsets of systems, while metrics such as time to first byte measure performance. For example, restoring a random database quarterly ensures that backups are complete and application consistent. Restore testing often reveals hidden gaps, such as missing dependencies or corrupted media, which can then be corrected. Without testing, backups risk becoming insurance policies that fail under pressure. With testing, they become trusted safeguards that organizations know will perform when needed. Cross-account or cross-subscription storage strengthens resilience by isolating backups from primary credentials. This design prevents attackers who compromise production accounts from tampering with backup copies. For example, snapshots may be copied automatically to a secondary account with stricter access controls. In ransomware scenarios, this separation preserves a clean recovery path. Cross-account isolation illustrates the principle of defense in depth, ensuring that backups remain trustworthy even if production identities or systems are breached. It is a critical safeguard in modern threat landscapes, where attackers increasingly target backup repositories to block recovery. Database recovery requires specialized strategies, because transactional systems demand both availability and integrity. Techniques include applying transaction logs, checkpoints, and point-in-time recovery to restore consistency. For example, restoring a database to the moment before a failed migration involves rolling forward from the last checkpoint using logs. Point-in-time restore options provide granularity, allowing recovery not just to the last backup, but to a specific second. These features are vital for financial, healthcare, or other systems where even minutes of lost data can be unacceptable. Database recovery emphasizes that backups are not one-size-fits-all. Transactional workloads require tailored methods to preserve correctness as well as continuity. Backup windows and performance tuning align protection with operational demands. Scheduling large jobs during peak workloads can degrade performance, while insufficient throughput may extend backup windows beyond acceptable limits. Techniques such as incremental backups, bandwidth throttling, and parallelization optimize efficiency. For example, nightly backups might capture only changed blocks, reducing time and storage impact. Aligning schedules with business hours minimizes disruption while ensuring objectives are met. Backup performance tuning ensures that resilience measures do not themselves compromise availability, balancing operational stability with protection requirements. Monitoring provides continuous assurance by tracking the health and success of backup operations. Dashboards and alerts highlight job completion, missed schedules, or lag against defined policies. Advanced monitoring detects media corruption or anomalous deletion attempts that could indicate tampering. For instance, repeated backup job failures may reveal misconfigured permissions or failing hardware. Monitoring ensures that issues are caught early before they undermine recovery readiness. It also supports compliance, providing evidence that backups are performed and validated consistently. In resilience engineering, monitoring closes the loop, transforming backup from a background task into an actively governed function. Evidence generation produces the artifacts needed for audits and regulatory reviews. These include backup job logs, change approvals, restore test results, and cryptographic integrity proofs. For example, an auditor may request proof that healthcare records are backed up daily and retained for 7 years. Evidence packages demonstrate compliance with retention policies and data protection standards. Automating evidence collection reduces administrative burden and ensures consistency. Evidence generation ensures that backup and recovery systems not only perform technically but also satisfy external scrutiny, reinforcing accountability and trust. Cost governance ensures that backup strategies remain financially sustainable while meeting resilience objectives. Storage tiers, such as hot, warm, and cold classes, allow organizations to balance cost with access needs. Egress fees and rehydration charges also factor into cost models, particularly when large recoveries are required. For example, rarely accessed archives may be stored in cold storage, with rehydration planned only for audits or legal requests. Governance ensures that protection measures align with budgets, avoiding unchecked growth in storage costs. By integrating financial stewardship into backup strategy, organizations ensure that resilience remains both effective and affordable. Multi-cloud backup strategies avoid asymmetric friction by harmonizing formats, encryption methods, and catalogs across providers. This ensures that data backed up in one cloud can be restored in another without translation errors or compliance gaps. For example, standardized SBOM-like catalogs can document backups regardless of provider, streamlining recovery in heterogeneous environments. Multi-cloud approaches provide flexibility and reduce dependency on a single vendor, strengthening resilience against provider outages or contract changes. Harmonization transforms diverse tools into a cohesive ecosystem, ensuring consistent recovery experiences across clouds. Securing backup infrastructure is as important as securing the data itself. Administrative paths must be tightly restricted, access limited by least privilege, and all activity logged and auditable. For example, only a handful of trusted operators may be allowed to modify retention policies, with approvals and alerts triggered for every change. Backup servers and storage should be monitored for intrusion attempts, as attackers increasingly target these assets. By treating backup infrastructure as a critical component of the security perimeter, organizations ensure that their last line of defense cannot be subverted. Incident playbooks prepare teams for recovery under adversarial conditions. Scenarios include ransomware, where backups may need to be restored rapidly after freezing snapshots to prevent further corruption. Emergency key rotations may be required if encryption keys are compromised. Playbooks outline decision criteria, escalation paths, and communication protocols. For example, a ransomware playbook may define how to isolate infected systems, verify backup integrity, and restore services while law enforcement is notified. Playbooks ensure that even in high-stress incidents, recovery actions are consistent, defensible, and effective. Anti-patterns highlight common mistakes that undermine resilience. Backing up to the same blast radius leaves data exposed to the same failure as the primary system, defeating the purpose of redundancy. Untested restores give false confidence, with organizations discovering too late that backups are incomplete. Relying only on mutable latest copies eliminates historical rollback, leaving no defense against delayed corruption or insider sabotage. Recognizing these pitfalls is essential for building credible backup programs. Avoiding them transforms backups from fragile illusions into reliable lifelines. Continuous improvement ensures that backup and recovery systems evolve as threats, technologies, and business needs change. Post-restore reviews capture lessons learned, updating policies, runbooks, and automation accordingly. For example, a recovery test may reveal that DNS failover was slower than expected, prompting automation enhancements. Regular reviews align resilience strategies with shifting objectives, ensuring that they remain current and effective. Continuous improvement prevents stagnation, embedding backup and recovery into the broader cycle of organizational learning and adaptation. For exam purposes, backup and recovery strategies are tested in terms of aligning snapshots, replication modes, and DR topologies with RPO, RTO, and business assurance needs. Candidates should understand when to apply synchronous versus asynchronous replication, how immutability protects against ransomware, and why restore testing validates resilience. They should also recognize anti-patterns and how to mitigate them with cross-zone storage, catalogs, and disciplined change control. The exam emphasizes not just technical tools, but the governance and verification that make recovery credible. In summary, disciplined backup and recovery practices combine snapshots for rapid restoration, replication for continuity, and DR runbooks for coordinated failover. Application-consistent backups ensure logical integrity, while immutability and encryption safeguard confidentiality and trust. catalogs, monitoring, and evidence generation provide accountability, while cost governance and multi-cloud strategies keep resilience both affordable and flexible. By avoiding anti-patterns and embedding continuous improvement, organizations transform backup from a reactive safety net into a proactive discipline. The result is cloud operations that are recoverable, auditable, and dependable under real-world conditions. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.